I used to think that I had to do everything just right, do the right exercise, eat the right foods, and have enough discipline, and then my body would stop trying to fight me. It didn't. And I had to learn the difference between caring for my body and trying to control it. I know what it's like to essentially be bedridden. I know how hard it is to fight to get out of that space. I also know how difficult it is to start, let alone maintain healthy habits of any kind when you have a chronic illness that is beating your butt every day, or if you're just in a season of life that does not allow you to have a huge capacity. The good news is that even if you can't do it all, you can do a little bit every day that will not only make you feel good inside, but that will also help you to recognize that even when it's hard, you're still moving forward. I think you can take a few things from my little list. Where are you right now? What is your capacity? Stop looking at Susie over there and getting upset when 5 weeks into trying to follow her program, it falls apart because you started from a different baseline. When you have a limited capacity, when you have chronic pain in your body, you know just as much as I do that you will have very high moments and you will have floor moments. And it can sometimes be hard to figure out when that's going to come, when it's going to leave, what you'll be able to do on a random Tuesday afternoon. You just don't know. So the first thing that really helped me outside of letting go of certain aspects of controlling what that looks like for me is getting to a place of being like, okay, what if I created different versions of healthy habits for where I'm feeling? You have to first begin with addressing this very real tension. You cannot control everything. I know that you want to, but you have to stop. Feeling that everything else around you and inside of your body is going haywire and you have no control over it doesn't mean that you should swap out where you can control things, if that makes sense. You may not be able to train for a triathlon right now. Babe, that's okay. I want you to focus on developing a system. And this, before you say it, I know this sounds a little crazy, but I promise it's way simpler. It is way simpler than what this might come off as, okay? So for me, I developed like this. I thought that I was being evolutionary. I recognized when I went through a chronic pain clinic program that I am not, but it was backed by science. You can create basically a schedule or a type of, this is how my day can go depending on how I'm feeling. So I have one for high energy days, mid energy days, low energy days, and the floor is what I like to call it. That is my, I am in bed. There is nothing productive happening. That's okay. I'm going to work in things that I can do that will keep me from feeling like a failure. On high energy days or just super open days where you don't have much on your schedule, that is not the time to try and work in everything under the sun, because what happens, ladies? You crash and you know it. And then for the next 3 weeks, you're stuck in bed for real because you went way beyond your threshold. And now you have to recover. So keep it as simple as you possibly can. If it's during the week, in addition to work or running errands or washing dishes and washing my clothes, I'm also going to fold the clothes. Then if I feel good enough, I'll put them up. If I don't, they stay in the basket for the next day or for the next time that I have the energy to do so. And you basically just repeat that process, so on and so forth. There are a few main areas really that I feel for me has made the most difference. And that is in the area of exercise, eating, and sleep. So for exercise, I grew up as an athlete. I danced, I did cheer, I did jump rope, I did track. And all of those have one thing in common. You push yourself beyond the limit that you think you have, and you do it with a smile on your face, looking as gracefully as possible. As we know, having that approach when you have some chronic pain going on is not the best thing for you. And I learned that the hard way. I kept trying to repeat the systems that a high-level athlete does, and I kept wondering why it was backfiring, why I was having more spasm in my body, why It got to a point where I couldn't lift a 2-pound dumbbell. That was because I wasn't graced to do that anymore. Honestly, I don't know if I ever really was. That part is a little questionable. But I say that to say, we all know that super high intensity workouts are good. We see that that's backed by science. It's good for your VO2 max. It's good for fat loss. It's good for your cardiovascular system. But we also see just how bad it can affect people who live with chronic pain or who are in chronic levels of stress or who has a very dysregulated nervous system. If that is you, that should not be the goal. If you're starting from doing absolutely nothing, start with going on a walk. It can be around your kitchen for 10 minutes. Whatever it is to get up and get your body moving. When it comes to strength training, don't try to do all things at once. I've even learned for me that low to mid intensity is where I am able to keep a schedule going. And not only that, oh, hold on, my foot's asleep. There comes a point where I know every 3 months I'm going to have a period of time where I have not worked out for 2 to 3 weeks. And I'm not mad at myself anymore about that. Why? Because I have spent a very long time tracking my flare ups, tracking as much as I can from the information that my body gives me. And that allows me to recognize that, oh, there actually are patterns. And so, one, I'm not going to keep trying to fight against my body when something is so cyclical, but also recognizing that helped me to feel like I wasn't crazy, like I wasn't lazy, like I was not doing anything wrong, because I'm not. You're not. Your body and what you're experiencing is real, and you have to stop thinking that if you just adjust by doing more, pushing more, going harder, that that's somehow going to help you advance in any way. If anything, it leads you to crashing and burning not long after. Get clear on what your goal is, not what your future goal is, not the goal that you would have if you had no complications, all the time in the world, all the energy in the world, the biggest capacity known to man. No. What is a good goal for you to set right now? I'll tell you what mine used to be. When I was stuck in bed and it hurt to go up and down steps, my goal was to be able to get out of bed and sit in the living room for an hour a day. That's where I started. It wasn't impressive. It didn't start with weight loss. It didn't start with muscle gain. I went from being in peak athletic shape to not really recognizing myself anymore. And I was used to being able to do whatever, albeit in pain, but I was able to push through for years until my body gave out, and it didn't wake up for a long time. I don't want that to be you. And if that is you, I don't want you to feel bad for having to start over. After that, I worked my way up slowly. I went from sitting out into the living room from my bedroom for an hour a day to then being like, okay, while I'm out in the bedroom for an hour a day, I'm going to just like stand up for 5 minutes every once in a while so that blood can actually move through my legs properly. And from there, it looked like me being like, okay, I could get a stepper. And while I'm watching TV in the living room, I can get on the stepper for 5 minutes at a time. You guys, where I am now and where I was took literal years to get there. And I'm not even where I want to be at all. But I am so grateful that I am in a space now that I used to pray for. We can't lose sight of the small miracles, of those small wins. When you set a goal and you're like, okay, from the bed, I'm going to move to the couch. What a miracle from God. Doesn't that look like the mercy of the Lord? Doesn't that look like his goodness? Can't you see that he is answering you? Can't you see that he's with you? Like, these are the things that we need to focus our mind more on when it comes to those types of goals. When it comes to eating, me and her have had an interesting relationship. I love food. I love the smell of food. Me and the texture of food sometimes don't get along. But outside of that, entered into this place of just having disordered eating and being afraid to grocery shop, not being able to make grocery lists, hating going in the kitchen and finding something to eat, because after after years of medical diets, my relationship with food was all jacked up, and it took a lot. I mean, a whole lot to even begin getting into a healthy space. And it did not help that while I was trying to do that, I started seeing how everything was poison, and how if I wasn't able to be 100% perfect all the time, I am basically writing a certificate for a really hard life. And one thing that helped to a degree was when I went to what are they called? I went to a dietitian that specialized in people who had disordered eating or eating disorders. And I did not stay there for long, I'll be honest. Nevertheless, I still learned from that person. And years later, I can look back and see, oh, maybe my mind really was just not as healed as I thought it was when it came to certain things that she would say and certain things that she would suggest. But I'm not here to talk about foods that you should eat or foods that you should not avoid. I am a proponent for eating as healthy as you are able. So that comes with eating within the budget that you have, eating or cooking with the capacity that you have, and giving yourself grace for the times that you don't have it in you to do much of nothing. The goal here is not to starve. The goal is not to unintentionally fast. We know, again, fasting when you're dysregulated, that does not mix well. I also have created basically the same like 3 or 4 tier system as I did previously when it came to exercise. Because I have tracked so much, I do find it easier now than I did before to kind of gauge what type of week I'm about to have. I can feel things when it's like stirring up in my body. But some weeks I can cook things from scratch. Some weeks I can bake. Some weeks I have to eat something that's pre-made. Other times I have to get something out to eat. And I can't feel bad about that. I can't feel like I have let myself down. Instead, I choose to say, Lord, thank you for the provision that came in a way that I didn't necessarily want it, but it came. And I thank you for that. And I know that this might not be the healthiest meal. I know that this might not be what I'm craving. I know that this might not be up to the standard that I hold myself to, but I have food when I'm hungry, and I'm grateful for that. And I know that this is not a forever thing. It's just today. Maybe tomorrow I'll be able to whip something up, just not today. And that is ultimately fine. Sleep has been my arch nemesis, more than I'd like to admit. Okay, I learned something very interesting though. You know, when you get to that point in the day where your body is like, go to bed, and you take that as, okay, I'm gonna start getting ready for bed. I can't do that. You know what happens when I do that? I have an entire night of broken sleep, and then it keeps happening over and over and over and over again for weeks, sometimes for months. And I was so convinced that I don't know what I was convinced of, but I was just like, what is going on? I'm in a bad mood all the time because of this. I don't want to be in a bad mood. Everything is just out of whack. I'm in more pain and all this stuff. I can't do any of these things that I have basically worked into a schedule because I'm sleep deprived. So, you know what I started doing? If I am still up watching TV, or if I'm reading a book or whatever, and my body is like, go to bed, I go to bed. Sometimes I actively still have to talk to myself and say, it is all right that you're not washing your face tonight. It's not happening. Lay down. It's all right that you're not about to floss and brush your teeth. Lay down. And you know what's funny about that? Is that typically I'll say that to myself, and then I'll have to like get up to turn off a light or get up to do something. And then I end up washing my face and brushing my teeth anyway. But there are times where I really do absolutely none of that. And then guess what happens? The next day, I wake up and I'm good to go. When you have a day though that is just, you can't push through, none of your mini schedules are working, you are in so much pain, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, you're exhausted, you're drained, like you don't have it in you. You know what I like to do? I try to make it fun for myself. And I say, pick one: books, movies, or television shows. And typically, if I'm at that place where it's like I'm down bad, there is no reading. Like, I'm probably having some cognitive stuff going on, and that would just irritate me and stress me out beyond repair. So I'll either choose a day of movies, or a day of watching TV. When I'm feeling like that, I'll have like the pre-made stuff or the eating out, and it's just a day to rest and recuperate. Caring for your body is not the same as controlling it. We will not be perfected until Jesus himself returns. So, the beauty in our right now is that we can adapt to the flares, to our body, to the season of life that we're in. I'm curious to know what habit is on your heart to pursue today.